So welcome. Welcome to another interrupted.
last night.
Butts?
Lauren, what?
Butts?
No, weed.
Wait, what?
He said butts.
Oh, not butts. No.
Oh. Well, I thought John might have.
Smoke butts? Johnny smokes cigs all the time, yeah.
No, Joe doesn't do that. He wouldn't vape with nicotine.
What do you do?
You did?
Wait a minute, I'm live streaming, so.
What?
I'm live streaming, so you can keep that to a minute.
Oh no, gosh, what's that underwear?
It's their biggest threat right now.
I'll be back and watch this right now.
It's about time, 'cause everybody else did. It's about time.
Dad, 1 week ago, Laura said you fuck smoke. You know, but yeah, you fuck smoke. A week later.
You gotta believe it. Everybody grows up, and they become an addict. Need therapy. It's okay. Just don't ask me. Because people become addicts. And then they hide out. Where in the attic.
Dad, you know what I might do?
Sometimes.
I might just buy 3 months of membership and then buy Matt at the game so I can.
I don't think you should get too crazy.
Yeah, I don't think we should do that.
I think I should.
I think you should just buy the year, like,
I don't want to buy the game. I want to play the game I just bought, but I can't even play it.
you can play it on my system.
No, I like can't play it as in like Matt. I bought it thinking that it was gonna let me game share with him, and it's like a multiplayer. It's a multiplayer campaign, and then it just fucked me over. Now I just have this thing sitting there.
I want to go home and get my job.
Remember sugar free?
Oh, you have your own Jello.
No, yeah, no, yeah. Okay.
How many years?
Yeah.
I've mentioned that.
Now you're saying going to get my Jello, so we can eat my Jello. Like,
Wait, your Jello is sugar free, though, right?
yeah. I'll just and this.
Is this your water?
Oh, yes. Yeah, they got some. We'll see what's up. like Jello.
Nice, I'll check it out.
No.
Who? What I'm playing?
No, not.
I'm live streaming.
People in it? How many people?
4 people. Oh, I know. It's something I made up I'm making up right now.
Sorry, people. I'm gonna go now.
It's all spontaneous. This is all spontaneous. Can someone remind me of what the title of this video was? I don't remember what I was going to do it about. Oh, I mean, I kind of know. Hey, Carson. Love your videos, man. How's it going? Blessings in Jesus. Yay. Oh, well, I'm just kind of waiting for my son to bail because he was eating downstairs. And it's not that I don't care if he listens. He just makes more noise than anything. He's 15. So it'll probably take another 4 minutes. Thank you. It's my, it's a Martin. I finally grew up and bought myself a Martin when I was maybe 35. So I'm 48. So. It does make a little difference. Mood. Nice. I wish I could do some moody blues. But I can't. But anyway, yeah, I did have a subject in mind that I was going to talk about. It's kind of about the title of my channel is called Brian Murray Truth, A Voice in the Desert, and I just wanted to kind of clarify that. Like I said, when my son comes in, he's going to interrupt. But anyway, I'll start it now. And it was kind of about... I mean, I really appreciate the character of John the Baptist in the desert, who wasn't really entirely claiming he had the truth, but he was trying to promote it. And so the channel was supposed to be about not necessarily claiming to have any possible hope of possessing real truth that you can have, but to pass you along on the path and, just kind of make everybody their access to that truth, if it ever came about, that much easier. You know what I mean? And so that I like that metaphor of, I'm not Jesus, but I'm unworthy to even undo the sandals of Jesus on his feet, because I just love the concept of the truth. It could set you free in many ways. It should be very humbling. It should be very quieting. Amen, brother. And so it's nerve-wracking talking about Jesus. People get upset, but I'm not overly upset about talking about Jesus. I do think that we can get through and communicate and get into bigger ideas where we kind of we don't even have to bring Jesus into it. We're bigger than that. But I mean, I'll gladly bring Jesus into it every time, because he's got the answer to every stupid problem. And we're so much bigger than these things. And, it's embarrassing that Jesus was even had to be born to save us from sin, because we're so sinful. That's what's really regretful, is that, we're big enough. I'm big enough. If I do have a sin, and, I have a beer, or, I have married, so I never really followed Jesus. I wish I could have, in a way. Those things have to be forgiven of myself. Like those, I'm not perfect. If I had only known when I was 17 what I know now, I probably never would have married. I would have become a true follower of Christ and abstinent, but I would have fasted more, and I would have just tried to be like him. Because I love what he is and what he brings to the table. And I love that type of being. So anyone did it, even in the name of Christ, and wasn't Jesus Christ, and they were acting just like Jesus Christ, I would love them too, for being just like that. And I think that's what brings us all together, is that we're on the same page, and we're all trying to pave the way for the arrival of Jesus Christ. So we're all voices in the desert.
Here's God.
Is that your phone?
Exactly.
That's not my phone.
Oh, Snack Fest. Kids have their Jello.
Jello.
So anyway. So, you know, what I do think is important for every channel and every book and every medium of speech, for the person to admit to themselves as they're relaying information or an idea, is that, well, you know, you don't necessarily always have 100% of the answers. You have that 91% or the 75% that you're willing to offer to the table, but only someone like Jesus Christ could say they have all of the answers. I barely understand what I just get math. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with it. I'm not clever enough with it to make, you know, fission or nuclear things like that. It's not like that. So, you know, when you're getting a spiritual gift, it's still only as useful as the being who's prepared to receive it. And so, which doesn't need to be a lot, because we all should be very simple, like babes. You know, like really not expecting nuances and things of that nature where you have to have it explained to you in detail. I mean, it's the nature of innocence is the nature of Christ. It has no preconceived hatred or anything that would cause you to judge. His form of judgment is not like a human's form of judgment. You know what I mean? So you don't have that pre-pressure of what we would have, which would be a race or creed or things like that added into the mix. I mean, you have basically an honest being looking at someone and making a final, having to make a judgment. You know, I mean, it's probably embarrassing for Jesus at the end to even have to judge us, being that he just gets it so perfectly, and we're so miserable and just so trying to figure it out, and just so trying to get through daily life and caught up in all of the nuances of how we have to impress people and how we have to have our place in society, and then we have all these temptations that are taking us down, you know, and then you have someone like Jesus Christ who just gets it, and he doesn't want to judge. He's not looking forward to getting in the seat of, but it's for our own good that in the end we are judged. Because for him it's so natural. And for us, we have to learn to understand why that should feel natural, to want to be good, to want to be always truthful, never lie. All of those things. And so, you know, I was kind of trying to hint at clarifying my channel. I can offer you no truth. That's the real kicker of the truth. On earth, nobody can offer you the truth. And the best chance you have at sanity is by hooking up with Jesus Christ and his writings and reflections on his thoughts, and then you will have a semblance of what the truth is like. But even then, it's not carved in stone so rigid. It's a framework. And then you can grasp onto it like a buoy, like a lifeboat in the madness. And that's kind of what I'm trying to spread, you know what I mean? Like, it's deceiving, but I do like I said, the idea of John the Baptist in the desert, Brian Murray, A Truth in the Desert. I am Christ-like. I'm just not Christ. I'm not trying to be Christ in the sense of I'm not trying to take his place. trying to promote him. You know what I mean? I'm not running down the street carrying a cross, thumping the Bible in everyone's faces, but I am in my creativity, because this is a channel and this is a creative outlet. And so I get to use it to play music, but I also actually get to just kind of, I do believe that everything resolves into accepting Jesus Christ as your Savior, so to speak, where you just kind of, you have to surrender a lot of your own ambitions and your will to the fact that those things are not necessary, and what's necessary is focusing on the miracle of Jesus Christ being, even allowing himself and being offered by his Father to fulfill this destiny that was born into the whole fabric of the universe. And that should be enough to think about and humble you to kind of then have that back reflection where you can look.
Hey.
And then you can think, well, how can I balance this? Like I said, I mean, I'm married and I have a child, so I couldn't be Jesus Christ. I mean, I could never be him anyway. No one can. But I mean, like, we're supposed to be a little bit. The cure to life would be to not procreate, to not get involved, to not obsess over possessions. And if you can manage that, if you can manage to not get caught up in reality, one of two things are going to happen for you. One's very positive. You're going to slide off into a corner of reality where no one notices you, and you're just going to live a very, very simple life. Or the other side of reality is you're going to have a good one. Yeah, I'm going to close it up soon. Thanks. Talk to you, man, soon. Bye, Carson. And you're going to fall into a system, if you don't fall into the simple side, you're going to fall into the complicated side. And then the complicated side means you're kind of drowning in information, and you're not going to really be able to make solid, stable, any type of rational thoughts as easily, because you're caught up in reality. You're caught up in the illusion. And so that you got to be careful with that. That's all I offer you is a better way to put a mirror to yourself and then experience yourself and ideas that are attached to you. You're the viewer. You're the perceiver, and what's important to you is what's important. And so that should also be heavily promoted. I want what's best for you as a being, because it's a very similar feeling, and it shouldn't be based in a huge amount of possessions. So it should be easy to achieve. Your feeling of positivity or happiness should be wrapped up in some of the few simpler things. I mean, life is very, not only negative sometimes, but I mean, it's scary. There's natural disasters, there's things of that nature, but there's always been those things. There's always been upsetting beings, there's always been wars, and yet, throughout history, people have enjoyed themselves too, so you can't always get caught up in that. But you do need to forge your relationship yourself with truth. And don't let somebody tell you what truth is. I don't think many people need a history lesson to think about what's going on with now once you start following conspiracy sites anyway, with the government and things like that, where that level of truth, you need to be told, you get it, there's problems. But there's truth, and then there's truth. There's spiritual truth. There's the truth of the illusion, which you have to digest and you have to look at, and you say, well, I throw something up, it falls down, and then there's the truth of interactions with beings. But these are all really small scale truths, like truth or lies, truth or dare. But, like, who is the maker of real truth? What is truth? Well, isn't it ironic? Jesus Christ is the Word. So, the Word makes the truth. But in passing along the truth, what you do is you pass along your inspiration for yearning for it. Because the truth is all wrapped up in the rapture of happiness, not escape. There's a certain amount of joy you're allowed to have here, but the truth is, we're kind of these fallen beings, and I guess people aren't really getting the biblical tale. The angels of heaven rebelled, and earth was created by them, the fallen angels, and we are them. Even in the writing of the Bible, you can tell that they use the word Elohim, 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 and it just means the gods. It wasn't the supreme one God. The Hebrews word would not have been that. So they don't give it away. They just don't really brag about it. I mean, this is not the world of God. This is the world that Satan was allowed to have and rule for a short time in his rebellion and the fallen angels. And those are the beings that we are. To take a momentary lapse of reason. And this concludes, or does it? Well, it doesn't have to. If I rub my face a little more. An idea like pop out of my head. Well, as I was saying, anyway, I would like everybody to start making their own assessments on what truth is. And I do have a very good idea myself of what truth is. And I do feel like I offer a form of it that is subtle enough that passes the message along. Excuse me. But it's in an artistic sense. But I can't just bring you to truth. You have to look for it. You have to want to be a part of it. You have to help create it in your own mind and in your own being. And so if truth for you is that all these conspiracies are true and you're trapped, and well, that's one truth. I mean, but you're still not trapped. You never were trapped. You weren't trapped before you knew the conspiracies existed. There's a certain wisdom that's going to come out. And you're going to know. There's always been a conspiracy, whether it was in Rome or in Greece or a knife in the back and Julius Caesar or whoever it was. I mean, it's can't live life that way. And that sort of is the meaning of don't sit on the roof and wait for me. Jesus saying to you, like, I mean, be good all the time. Be righteous all the time. Be sharing all the time. Be giving all the time. Turn your cheek all the time. Just look at somebody and instead of being cursing them or being mean, just don't be affected. Don't be afflicted by their energy. Is it really that pressing that you have to be obstructive and upsetting to somebody? Do not be effective. Do not be affected, and you will be free. I mean, Jesus had a lot of wisdom to offer. If you can't grasp it, then you're not trying very hard. It's a self-helpful philosophy. It's not great if you have to force yourself. I mean, I understand that, but ultimately, if you can let go of your anger, I mean, what really makes you angry about the universe? What really makes you angry about society and civilization and politics? Are you really so wrapped up in reality that I mean, I believe in those things. They're around me all the time. They are expressions, albeit now in 2017, heavily cartoonized / exaggerated expressions of our political beliefs. Are you to take them so seriously that you should have ulcers? If you should have things that cause you to disrupt parties or be disruptive around people when they're trying to talk about their fear of politics or their concerns on certain subjects. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem you have to face is your fears cause you to want to shape reality and your perception of people and your perception of how you're going to deal with them. And so it can be very negative. You know, it can be very cursing. And so the reason I've gotten heavily into referencing Jesus all the time is because I want you to have the best resource for someone who will just put you on an even keel and put your mind at ease and you can surrender to, so you can feel at ease. Like, there are certain things you cannot do and you can be done with that. That's the being who's doing that. And so, and if you haven't discovered that, like, you have to look into it. That's all I can say. You're not going to find peace of mind until you've come upon a meeting with the Spirit of Jesus Christ and why His compassion and His self-sacrifice, courage. I mean, goodness amongst people requires courage. Like, you don't bring your auntie or your friend or whatever to the hospital unless you have courage and you're aware and you have friendship and you care, and so these concepts are to be nurtured, and they're there in society, but they're not really the focus of society. They're the pat on the back that you kind of give yourself. And that's just really not enough for humanity to be doing that anymore. I mean, it's got to be genuine. It's got to be... See, the problem with civilization is it really only does those things because it has to. We've demanded it of the bureaucrats and all these, the Congress, blah, blah, blah. We've said we need a company or an institution of the government to watch food because people are putting fingers in cans and nuclear radiation or whatever. They're not being honest. And so we do that with hard effort. And then those companies get created, and then over 30 years they become usurped by people who are interested in making money and not providing truth. And then you get questionable information. So it goes down the pipeline, you know, I mean. I would like to, as a channel, provide something that's hopeful. Hopeful, you know. Cool. Nice. Friendly, positive, uplifting. And so that's maybe why, like, mine's not really. Well, I wouldn't say it's not going anywhere. I'm blown away that I have 172 or 1 subscribers. In January, when I really started thinking about it, I mean, I might have had 14 subscribers, so I'm really not upset or... I think, like anyone, or should anyway, I subscribe to channels that I like, and I don't unsubscribe to them because they make a stupid video. Just nobody's really discovered my channel, and it's okay, I'm new. I originally started my channel just so my son could have a little avenue for his video game channel, but he never went off on it. So. But anyway, to wrap it up, the point would be that just think for yourself and you will be fine.